Hi guys, I wanted to make a quick video about my breastfeeding challenges, and I'm going to do a couple videos because I had a couple different problems. But when I was having problems, I went to the doctor and they told me that all of these problems are normal and the baby's normal, and it turned out the baby was not normal, and it took a lot of digging through forums to figure out what was wrong with my baby. So I wanted to put my story out there. I think the more we share our stories, the better it is for future people to be able to figure out what's happening with their baby. So my baby, when I was feeding him, he was pulling away from the breast and he would scream his guts out and look so frustrated. And it took forever to feed him. That I would put him on the breast and about 30 seconds later he would pop off and he would just scream his guts out until he turned red in the face and until he expended all of his energy, and then he would try again. And I would just keep going and going and going. And then when we were done, I would burp him and he would throw up a lot. And then I would lay him down and he would twist and turn his little legs, and he could not get comfortable. That he could not sleep a very long time because he was in so much pain. And so I told the doctor, I think he has acid reflux. And the doctor said, all newborns do, it's fine, he'll outgrow it. And I Googled, and they said all babies have acid reflux, they'll outgrow it. If you think your baby's worse, blah, 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 go talk to your doctor. And I talked to my doctor again. I think he has acid reflux, and the doctor said he'll outgrow it. So my baby did not have acid reflux. My baby had two problems. The biggest one was I guess there was three problems. I was making a ton of milk, and I was overfeeding my baby, which is why he was throwing up a lot. They tell you to do in the beginning, I think 20 minutes per side, so that's 40 minutes. It turned out that I only needed to feed him on one breast, and the way to know for sure about that would be to go see a lactation consultant or go to your breastfeeding club that's probably hosted in the hospital, and you go in with your baby hungry, and you feed your baby, or you weigh your baby, then you feed your baby, and then you weigh him again, and you can see how much he ate to get an idea of if he's eating enough. When we did that, we found out that he was getting plenty on one breast, not both breasts. So what we ended up doing was feeding him on one boob per feeding and then switching to the other boob the next feeding, back and forth. So one of the signs that was happening, or that was one of the issues, was that he was taking forever. I was forcing him to eat when he wasn't hungry. And another sign was he was throwing up a lot. And another issue was that I was just engorged. I was making too much milk and it hurt. All the time my boobs were as tight as a basketball. And they would squirt milk that he would start to eat, and then he would let off of the boob, and they would just keep squirting out the milk because I had so much in there. So to bring my milk production back down to a normal level, every other breast was perfectly fine. It was a little scary to me, but the lactation consultant said that this is not scary. It's actually much better to lower your milk production than to raise your milk production. So I did every other breast, and when my boob hurt, when it felt engorged, I would actually put cabbage leaves in my bra. So you take a leaf of cabbage and you roll it in your hand just to kind of break it up a little bit, and then it's perfectly shaped like a breast, like a bra cup, and you put it in your bra and you leave it there. I forget how long. It's like 5 to 20 minutes. You don't just leave it forever. It feels amazing. I mean, I guess they say that this has been happening since the beginning of time. There have been no studies to prove it, but women have been using cabbage to dry up their milk when they're done breastfeeding. So you don't want to do it too aggressively. You only want to do it when your breast really hurts and feels really, really full. And part of why it feels so good is it's just naturally cool. And if you put it in the fridge, it's even more cool. And studies have shown that women are reporting it is more more soothing, faster acting than putting ice in your bra, which, oh my gosh, ice in my bra sounds awful. But the cabbage was great. I didn't even go through a full head of cabbage before I was starting to feel normal. The other thing that I did was soy lecithin. That is a natural, or not natural, but that is a additive that they put in all kinds of food, and the lactation consultant insisted that it's safe for my baby and that it's just, you eat it already anyway. So you put it, you take a capsule of it, or I got powder and I put it in a liquid and took that 3 times a day. And what that does is that thins out the milk, because when it's been sitting in your breast for too long, it gets thick and it's hard to get out, and that can cause blocked ducts, and blocked ducts can cause other issues down the way, bad issues that you don't want. So lowering my milk production helped. Not overfeeding my baby helped. And the third issue was that my letdown was too strong, that my letdown is very fast. And she said there's a couple different ways that you can help the baby with that. If you see him gulping really fast, really frantic, that's because you've just let down your milk. And he was struggling, and it was like dripping out of his mouth as he was eating, like he's on his side, it's just running out the side, and then he would unlatch and he would scream and he'd try again, and it's like all over his face. That was a sign that it was too forceful and he couldn't handle it. So you make a V and you put it like maybe 1 centimeter or 2 behind the nipple and just push back towards your rib cage. So your nipple is in here and you push back. And what that does is that kind of holds back. You have 9 milk ducts around your breast, and that kind of pushes back on some of them to slow them down. And you don't want to hold them the whole time. You just want to hold them through the letdown phase to kind of slow the flow out of your breast. So if you watch your baby eat, it's really interesting that their hand will end up on your boob and they will kind of knead your breast. And what my baby was doing was he was putting his hand out, pushing on it. And I kept thinking, what are you doing, you newborn, you crazy newborn? How can you get to the breast if you're pushing your hand on it like a crazy man? He was trying to stop the milk flow. He was trying to lower the milk flow. They say the babies are incredibly smart. It's crazy how fast they learn. If they want more, they do this. And if they want less, they push their hand out. They punch your boob with their little hand because they're trying to regulate the milk flow. And you can do the same thing with your hand. You can, when you're feeding them, you kind of you knead your breast, and from the top you pinch it and you shake it to give them more milk. And when they're having trouble, you do the V, or you take a flat hand on the top half of the breast and you push back towards your rib cage to kind of cut back the top ducts. Again, not the whole feeding, just during the letdown. You can have 3 letdowns during a breastfeeding session. So you'll be eating along, he'll be great, and then all of a sudden he's gulping frantically again, so you put your hand on the upper breast, you just push back, or you do the V, and they'll eat more calmly without having to choke it all down. So that helped, because when he was frantically eating, he was getting a lot of air in his gut, and then he's burping it all back up. So overfeeding is causing a lot of throwing up, and all of that extra air he was getting from my overactive letdown was causing him to throw it up. And then my last problem that I had was I have a baby with a milk allergy. So they say this is rare and it's not easy to test for, that with the milk, if he is allergic to cow's milk, so if he has a food allergy, then the number 1 food allergy that the baby can have is cow's milk. And what that means is that I cannot eat anything with cow's milk. So to test it for 3 weeks, you don't touch butter, you don't touch yogurt, you don't touch anything with any kind of milk in it. And if the symptoms go away, then your baby may have had a cow's milk issue. And if it's a cow's milk issue, that means it's an animal milk issue. So you can't drink goat's milk, you can't drink any other substituting animal milk. And be careful, because a lot of babies that have cow milk issue also have soy milk issue. So if you replace your cow's milk with soy milk, you may continue to still have the same problems. So when we did this, after right away when we stopped, the symptoms started clearing up and it was amazing. And then the baby actually went backwards and it got worse. And I Googled, and a lot of people said that this happened, that on week 2, their baby got worse, and on week 3, it magically cleared up. And that's exactly what happened to us, that on week 3, he was a normal baby, that our baby screamed and screamed and screamed his guts out for 2 months. And everybody said it's normal. And it turns out what's normal is about 3 hours of screaming a day. My baby was screaming way more than 3 hours a day, way more. It's upsetting how much he was screaming. And once we cleared up the milk allergy and the overproduction of milk, overfeeding, and the forceful letdown, we had a calm, happy baby, and he was finally sleeping. He would sleep longer than 20 minutes. He stopped pulling his legs into his chest and twisting them side to side. He stopped throwing up so much. We were looking into what is the most super soaker burp cloth we can get our hands on. We don't need those anymore. We have so many burp cloths that we don't need anymore. I'm telling you, it's so frustrating that I went to specialists and they didn't have answers. They didn't even engage in the question. And a friend of mine said if they treated them for the acid reflux like you asked, then all babies would be treated for acid reflux. And this is true. However, my baby did not have an acid reflux issue like I thought he did. He had a cow's milk issue, he had a overproduction of milk issue, and he had a forceful letdown issue. So if they would have talked to me about it, we could have found solutions. So that's my story. If you are searching, I am guessing you're having troubles too. There are a million issues you can have out there. Ask, keep asking anyone and everyone, keep talking to your doctor. I saw a lactation consultant twice. She was the one that was able to shed some light on it. The baby's doctor was no help. My OBGYN was no help, but the lactation consultant was no help when I first asked her, but when I finally found a few people that mentioned something on the internet and I brought it up, I think this might be the issue, she looked into it and said, yes, that's the issue. That's probably what's happening. And thank goodness we found the solution. Life is so much better having solved that problem. He would have outgrown it eventually, but he is so much happier and learning so much better. And we are so much happier not having to deal with that issue. It stinks not being able to eat pizza or have bread with butter in it or milk in it, but it is so worth it. The second she said, I think it might be a milk allergy, I stopped immediately. I didn't want to touch a thing because we were going through so much trouble. We didn't want to play that game. We just wanted to get it fixed, no matter what the cost. Let's get it fixed. Oh, one more thing. If your baby has a cow's milk issue, then formula is not your answer, because we felt like maybe formula would be easier. Maybe this is so hard and hard on him, maybe formula would be the answer. And it turns out that the number one ingredient of most formulas is cow's milk. So my baby with the cow's milk allergy would have had the same problem on formula, if not more problems. There's only a couple formulas out there that are not cow's milk based. So that's my story. I hope you find the answers to your problems, and when you do, I encourage you, please share it with everyone else, because the more people that put it out there, the more we can all find the answers of how to make our babies happy and healthy. And the specialists are great, but we are the moms who know something is wrong, and we are the ones that will push and push and push until we find the answer. You are that baby's advocate. Don't give up. Keep trying. Thanks for watching.